At 6:42 a.m., the sun barely cresting the Somali coastline, 5 armed men punch through choppy waves in a beat-up fiberglass skiff. No flag, no identification, no idea what they're about to face. Just 2 fuel cans, a rusty aluminum ladder strapped across the bow, and absolute confidence that the gray silhouette on the horizon is their next payday. They're not fishermen. They're predators, and right now they think they've spotted easy prey. A slow-moving cargo vessel, probably defenseless, definitely profitable. But they're dead wrong. That cargo ship they're racing toward? It's actually a 9,000-ton floating fortress, a United States Navy destroyer packed with enough firepower to level a small city. From their low angle, the pirates can't see the gun mounts. The radar dome looks like shipping containers. The helicopter hangar? Just more cargo to their untrained eyes. Behind that cold steel exterior sits a crew that's perfected this exact scenario dozens of times, and every single camera on that warship is already locked onto their position. No warnings yet, no flares. Just deadly silence and surgical precision. On the bridge, the destroyer's captain watches the live feed. Fast-moving contact. No transponder signal. No radio communication. Weapons visible. Someone mutters under their breath, "Please turn around." They don't. Instead, the skiff accelerates harder, bow lifting out of the water, engines screaming as they charge what they still believe is an unarmed merchant vessel ripe for hijacking. For the next 14 minutes, the most powerful navy on Earth is about to teach these pirates a lesson they'll never forget, without firing a single shot. The bridge is eerily calm, but every sailor is laser-focused. The officer of the deck keys the internal comms. Bridge to CIC, fast approaching contact bearing 118. Closest to point of approach under 3 nautical miles. Time to intercept, 10 minutes. Deep inside the Combat Information Center, sailors are already tracking every movement. They don't even need radar. Electro-optical sensors paint a crystal-clear picture. 5 men, multiple weapons. One clutching an AK-47. Another scanning the destroyer through binoculars, completely oblivious to what he's looking at. This isn't a fishing boat that drifted off course. This is a coordinated attack run. Rules of engagement. Phase 1, active. High-definition cameras track the skiff's every move. Electronic warfare systems switch to passive scan mode, listening to everything, revealing nothing. The 50 caliber gun stations remain unmanned, but crews are alerted and standing by. The captain's orders are ice-cold and crystal clear. Maintain course. No aggressive action. Let them show their intent. The destroyer adjusts heading by just 5 degrees. Subtle, calculated, controlling the geometry of engagement without telegraphing a response. The crew knows this dance. De-escalation unless provoked. Sometimes these encounters are just confused fishermen. But this feels different. This feels deliberate. The lead skiff holds course, still accelerating. White spray explodes off the bow as it skips violently across the swells. Now just 2.2 nautical miles out and closing fast. Then 2 more blips materialize on the tactical display. 2 additional skiffs, flanking wide, trailing in a coordinated pattern. New contacts bearing 105 and 132. Coordinated movement confirmed. This isn't just robbery. It's a swarm tactic. Textbook Somali pirate maneuver designed to overwhelm and confuse. The destroyer's crew locks onto the screens. No panic, no shouting. Just cold, hard procedure. They've got 10 minutes to control this situation without it turning into an international incident. And somewhere in the ship's interior, somebody's already unlocking the helicopter hangar. The order comes down, calm but absolute. Launch the Seahawk. Maintain observation altitude. No direct overflight. Within seconds, the flight crew sprints toward the helicopter bay. The MH-60R Seahawk, a twin-engine surveillance beast loaded with advanced sensors, flares, and enough intimidation factor to change minds, sits fueled and mission-ready. This isn't a combat loadout. No torpedoes. No Hellfire missiles. Just optics, radar, and overwhelming presence. The rotors begin to spin. The Seahawk lifts off with a sharp pivot, nose dipping low, rotor wash hammering the deck. Within 30 seconds, it's airborne and angling to intercept from the east. From 800 feet up, the tactical picture becomes undeniable. 3 skiffs, low-profile hulls, 2 to 5 men per boat, loose formation, poor radio discipline, but the timing, too precise to be accidental. The Seahawk's 4K thermal camera captures everything. Weapons, boarding ladders, zero fishing equipment, no cargo. This is a professional boarding team. Back on the destroyer, the deck crew watches the live stream. Nobody's flinching. One sailor mutters, "They think we're a freighter." Another replies, "They're about to get an education." Right on cue, the Seahawk's spotlight clicks on, sweeping across the lead skiff. No warning. Just a blinding beam that lands directly on the boat operator's face. He flinches hard, raising one hand to block the light. Another pirate jumps to his feet, shouting, waving his arms frantically. The boat begins to veer erratically. Then a second spotlight swings over the right flanker. 2 boats now hesitating. One unsure, one still stupidly pushing forward. The Seahawk holds altitude, tail into the wind, optics locked like a predator watching prey. Nobody's fired a weapon, but the message is brutally clear. We see you. We're faster. We're watching. And we're ready. From the air, it becomes obvious. One skiff isn't backing down. The lead boat, now under 1.5 nautical miles from the destroyer, suddenly breaks formation. It surges forward aggressively, carving a sharp turn toward the Navy ship's bow. A massive wake fans out behind it, engine noise audible even through the Seahawk crew's helmets. Inside the Combat Information Center, the energy shifts. CPA now under 1.2 nautical miles. Time to intercept, 3 minutes. The destroyer responds with surgical precision. The long-range acoustic device, LRAD, goes active, emitting a focused, deafening warning tone aimed directly at the approaching skiff. It's a concentrated wall of sound that disorients, overwhelms, and physically hurts. It hits like a hammer. The man on the bow stumbles backward. Another pirate scrambles desperately to grab the engine housing as the boat rocks violently in the choppy water. Still no weapons raised. Still no shots fired. But tension. Maximum. On the flight deck, the Seahawk's sensor operator flips a toggle. A bright green laser pulses from the helicopter, painting the skiff's deck. It's not a weapon. It's a non-lethal laser marker that sends an unmistakable message. We're tracking you. Don't push this. Then comes the warning flare, fired from the destroyer's starboard launcher. It arcs wide across the pale morning sky, burning red, hissing as it falls toward the water. This time, it works. The skiff hesitates. Its engine throttles down, sputtering between power cycles. The bow dips into a swell. One pirate still standing throws both hands up, palms out. Universal maritime code for surrender. The second skiff pulls away sharply. Now, only one remains. The flanker, holding position about 2,000 meters out. They haven't advanced. They haven't retreated. They're frozen, waiting to see what happens next. The destroyer doesn't blink. Cameras stay locked. Electronic warfare systems still tracking every radio frequency. Bridge still silent. But the message? Crystal clear. 3 skiffs came hunting for easy prey. Now one is drifting. One is running. And one is thinking very, very carefully about its next move. The pirates haven't fired. Neither has the Navy. But there's zero confusion left about what kind of ship they just tried to board. And the next move? Not theirs anymore. At 7:01 a.m., everything shifts. The aggressive skiff is now drifting powerlessly, engine barely idling, bow facing away from the destroyer. On the bridge, the captain doesn't celebrate. He watches, he waits. Everyone does. The second boat, the right flanker, begins turning east. Not a panic turn, just enough to signal withdrawal. Slow, calculated, like they're trying not to trigger a chase response. Visual confirmation. Course change detected. Speed down to 12 knots, reports the Seahawk crew. The third skiff, the one that held back, finally throttles down and arcs southward. No communications, no flares. Just silent retreat. From the helicopter, the collapse is obvious. The attack formation is breaking. Below deck, the destroyer's crew remains at battle stations. 150 caliber gunners stay in position. The Combat Information Center continues logging every microsecond of sensor data: thermal, optical, acoustic. This isn't about revenge. It's about creating an ironclad record. Everything the Navy does is time-stamped, documented, archived. If this escalates into an investigation or legal case, the Navy doesn't need to argue. It just plays back the footage. By 7:04 a.m., the nearest skiff is 2 nautical miles out and fading fast. No return trajectory. No circling back. The Seahawk maintains altitude, holding a steady surveillance loop, optics still locked. The destroyer doesn't move aggressively. It doesn't pursue. Why? Because it doesn't have to. Presence was the weapon. Posture was the message. Restraint was the victory. The engagement ends without a trigger pulled. Not because the pirates surrendered, but because they realized far too late exactly who they were dealing with. The Gulf of Aden is one of the deadliest maritime choke points on Earth. It's a narrow funnel between the Arabian Sea and Red Sea, where over 20,000 commercial vessels pass annually. Oil tankers, freighters, container ships, all slow, all vulnerable. And pirates know it. But modern piracy isn't Hollywood fantasy with eye patches and cutlasses. It's fast boats, satellite phones, GPS coordinates, and AK-47s. And it's massive business. At its peak, Somali piracy generated hundreds of millions in ransom payments annually. Some attacks ended in hijackings, others in multi-million-dollar payouts. So how does the U.S. Navy handle this constant threat? They don't chase pirates. They deter them. This destroyer, like dozens operating in the region, is part of Combined Task Force 151, a multinational naval coalition with one mission: counter-piracy operations. Alongside NATO, EU, and allied warships, these vessels patrol high-risk zones and critical choke points, projecting overwhelming force where it matters most. Why is this strategy devastatingly effective? Because pirates operate on perception. They don't want to fight warships. They want to terrorize unarmed freighters. But from 10 nautical miles away, a Navy destroyer and a cargo ship can look remarkably similar. Same gray hull, same tall profile, similar container-like structures on deck. To a skiff crew with no radar and one pair of cheap binoculars, it's dangerously easy to misjudge your target, and that's where the Navy plays its ace: deception through disciplined operations. These destroyers operate under strict, internationally recognized rules of engagement. They don't open fire because someone looks suspicious. They warn, they observe, they record. Every move is calculated. Every response is measured. And that's not weakness. That's absolute control. Consider this encounter. The destroyer didn't need missiles. It didn't even need to raise weapons. It used precision tools: FLIR optics, LRAD sound cannons, non-lethal laser markers, and a helicopter that can hover, track, and document everything. The MH-60R Seahawk is essentially a flying intelligence platform. Equipped with advanced sensors like the MX-20 FLIR system, it can detect heat signatures, identify objects at extreme distances, and track multiple targets in real time. No guesswork. Just actionable data. While the pirates were trying to intimidate, the Navy was gathering evidence. In international waters, that distinction is absolutely critical. Any military engagement must be justified legally and diplomatically. If that skiff had fired weapons or reached boarding distance, the destroyer could have escalated with overwhelming force. But until that threshold is crossed, restraint rules. And when you record everything, flight paths, audio communications, thermal signatures, exact GPS coordinates, you don't need to argue your version of events. You just press play. That's why the U.S. Navy wins these encounters without combat, because when your enemy fundamentally misjudges what you are, you let them discover the truth the hard way. This wasn't a firefight. This wasn't a boarding action. This was what true maritime dominance looks like in the 21st century. Without a single shot fired, without a single casualty, the pirates came hunting for a soft target. They left with smoking engines, shattered confidence, and every move they made permanently archived on Navy servers. Because the United States Navy doesn't just win with weapons. It wins with presence, precision, and tactical posture. Every system functioned flawlessly. Every crew member remained composed. Every decision made during those 14 critical minutes sent an unmistakable message. You can approach, but we're watching, and we never ever blink. This time, the pirates backed down. But these standoffs are happening more frequently and getting progressively bolder. So here's the critical question. Should the Navy respond more aggressively to incidents like this, or is strategic restraint still the most effective weapon? Drop your perspective in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want more real-world naval encounters like this, where warships intercept, outmaneuver, and dominate threats without firing a shot, smash that subscribe button. If you want to support the channel directly and help us bring more authentic maritime stories to the surface, join the fleet. You'll get exclusive loyalty badges, priority responses, and behind-the-scenes content. Just head to our channel page and click Join. The next time pirates think about challenging a U.S. Navy destroyer, they might want to check their radar first. I'll see you in the next one.